Do you want to carry a giant blaster and shoot people with it? Well, the hired gun career's heavy talent tree might be the one for you if you're playing Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars RPG Edge of the Empire. We all orientated now on what we're doing today? Terrific. So, they carry a large blaster and they shoot people with it. So large, in fact, the type of blaster that's so big, it normally has to be mounted onto something. That's right, gunnery weapons. It has to be mounted onto like a vehicle or the really small ones on a tripod, like the Snow Troopers E11 or E-Web blaster heavy repeater thing. That thing, it's always been possible with technology or just a really high brawn rating to ignore the penalties that come with firing that weapon without it being mounted onto something. Like, if you don't have the tripod, it's cumbersome 5. You need brawn 5 to shoot it without penalty at all whatsoever, which is ridiculous. If you have a brawn 5, you don't have a really good range characteristic. Anyway, point is, we got talents here, which will help make that easier. So you don't need the servo arm thing or the technology, which gets rid of that. We have a talent that will get rid of it for you, which I don't know how. Just buy the attachment for your weapon. I guess this frees up an attachment for your weapon. Anyway, you can make a weapon lighter and easier to maneuver, which will help you with accuracy if it is cumbersome. Also, it's just lighter in general, which is nice. We got a couple ranks of that, more than you'll probably need, right? Wow, yeah, you could actually get away with a 2 in brawn and be fine with just about every gunnery weapon I've seen, right? I think, yeah, maybe. And depending on the gunnery weapon, even a 1 in brawn, you should still probably be fine, I think. Which is really nice. Of course, gunnery weapons aren't exactly easy to come by. Expensive, restricted, probably not going to get it right away, but, you know, when you do get one, you'll be well prepared for it, and you can adjust your characteristic build so that you're mostly agility focused with very little brawn, but you still have the massive firepower of that bigger weapon. So we do have Barrage, a couple ranks of Barrage, which makes you really good at attacking at the really long ranges. I guess if a lot of battle happens at medium range, maybe you can always back up and then attack at long range or extreme range as well. You get a little bit of help with that, which is nice, but wish there was something a bit more consistent. How often does long range actually pop up? I guess if there's a lot of people on rooftops, that might, maybe, I don't know, it depends. It just doesn't feel like it would be as inherently useful at most tables as, say, Point Blank, which is sort of similar, but with the shorter ranges. Anyway, though, you know, you're a big volley from afar, massive damage, rainfire, and destruction sort of a character. Here's the good stuff. When you buy a big, cumbersome weapon, or whatever they call it, gunnery weapon, make sure it has autofire, which I'm sure it does. It probably does. Make sure it does, though, because you have a talent which makes it easier to activate. That's amazing. Borderline overpowered. Although you technically could already do it with, what is it, jury-rigged? Those talents where you could make it so it's cheaper to do the auto-fire in the first place and it just stacks over and over and over again. You can do it like this, but it just costs you part of your overall action economy. That's a pretty nice talent, and it's easily avoidable if you've already built your character to where you don't actually need it. But this will work on whatever weapon you have with the auto-fire quality, not just the one that you add the jury-riggedness to it. The big offensive talent we have, this one is a doozy, and really, even though I complained like a minute and a half ago about wanting more consistent damage, it probably is not good. You don't want that. This talent is so good, it's so massive that, yeah, they're fine. They're fine offensively speaking. What does it do? Well, basically, you know lightsabers? You get to turn your gun into a lightsaber, more or less. You get to take the breach quality and add it to your attack, or even make it even more breach, which that helps you bypass armor on vehicles, so you can make your gun more of an anti-vehicle weapon. If it already has breach, just add breach on top of it. I don't know if such a weapon exists. It should. That sounds amazing. This also, I guess, would work with vehicle weapons. Yeah, so that'd be pretty helpful. It's like adding Pierce onto a vehicle weapon, if you think of it that way. All in all, pretty solid offense. Not a big fan of Barrage, but I've said my piece on that. Let's focus on the rest of it, which is defense. It's mostly defense. You're mostly a big, burly guy with a big gun. And that's your big advantage, is you can easily handle a big gun and build yourself to deal with it. And then all this defensive stuff. Let's see, an average amount of toughened. to help you with your wound threshold as far as combat trees goes. Solid, not great, but solid. We get some help with critical injuries and resisting them. And that's critical injuries in general, but also very specific critical injuries that affect your more physical nature. You can just sort of ignore some of the effects. We also have another amazing defensive talent, which I don't see nearly often enough. This one is fantastic. You know when you're a little kid and you're playing and someone was like, "Oh, I got you," you're like, "Nuh-uh, I was wearing double armor, so you didn't get me so bad." Ha 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 ha. It's that, but in talent form. You get to, with a pretty high cost, after you've been hit, like, "Oh, you didn't actually hit me that bad. I was stronger, I was tougher, more damage resistance, so you didn't actually hit me that bad because I'm so gosh darn heroic and resilient and heroically resilient." Great talent. It's a shame you kind of have to go out of your way to get it, sort of a dead end, focusing on the defense for a while, and then you have to spend time focusing on the offense, but oh well, it's an amazing talent. It is absolutely worth it. We also have Armor Master, which makes you better at wearing armor. Damage resistance, if you're wearing armor. Fantastic. Not quite as good as Enduring, but still pretty dang good. How often are you going to be naked in combat? So yeah, you'll be fine. It's great. Also, we have a more active defensive talent in the form of Sidestep. You choose to go in sort of a defensive mode against ranged attacks, so don't get as much help with melee, which I guess kind of makes sense. You want to keep people at range anyway. Keep those melee people from even getting to you by hitting them with barrage, assuming they start at long range, which how often does that happen? Anyway, Brace, it helps. Do we really need 2 ranks of Brace? Do we really need 1 rank of Brace? Anyway, it helps you against penalties coming from checks where stuff is shaking, an earthquake or whatever. It's very specific. It's borderline useless. It's only really good if you have the full breadth of it in that one Clone Wars, Clone Trooper tree, whatever it's called. A clone tree actually has it semi-good. It just feels like a waste here. But this is a good enough tree to where I don't mind the waste. It kind of makes it feel more fair. Oh, and we get spare clip too, so you don't have to worry about the GM spending stuff to say that you ran out of ammo or your weapon jammed or whatever, and then you don't have to spend a maneuver to do the item to make it so you didn't run out of ammo or you reload or whatever. I'm still not even sure how the blasters work to where this even makes sense. I gotta look that up. Anyway, overall, a pretty solid tree. Big guy, big gun, hard to take down because they're so tough and burly. I still think it's not quite as good as Age of Rebellion, Ace's Careers from the core book. Gunner? Gunner. It's the Gunner. They're awesome. Really good defense, really good offense with multiple ranks of true aim. I love that. They kind of specialize in taking down vehicles. That may not appeal to you, but still. Overall, with true aim, I love that consistent damage. Probably a better consistent damage dealer, at least for a while, than this one is, because most of your consistent damage is at long range. But you really can't underestimate, one, Rain of Death making auto-fire cheaper. That can really stack up and massively increase the amount of damage you can put out on a single attack. Like, that's insane. Also, we don't want to underestimate just how much the other career skills that it comes with sort of fleshes out the character and their past and their backstory, and it just, one might feel better than the other. Anyway, if you do want to play heavy, if it is the right one for you from the higher gun career, let's see. How do we build them? I wonder. If you don't know how I'm going to answer that, welcome to the channel. It's nice to meet you. My name is Steve. I make videos here for agility and brawn. But we don't need to have a high brawn for the cumbersome weapon. Just do it anyway. What else are you going to put those points in? What else are you going to put the points in? 4 agility, 4 brawn, shoot people as much as humanly possible, be as hard to take down as humanly possible. But if you want to make your character a bit more interesting, have a bit more to them, yeah, 2 in brawn is probably going to be just fine, and it's not like they're going to be some huge pushover or anything. Give them a 4 in agility that can take out people before they even get to them for the most part. They'll be good with the damage. And you could put a 3 in something like, I don't know, intellect. Maybe they were a combat medic or something, and they have a decent intellect, but they don't have it as a career skill. But you could pick a species that is naturally good at medicine or whatever other role. I'm trying to think. Like, see, Phaeline is really good at talking in almost all circumstances. Pick a species that is that good in a particular role, whatever that might be, that's different than combat. then it might be worth it to get a 3 in that particular characteristic, alongside the 4 agility and at least 2, but maybe 1 brawn, depending on the situation. I like at least a 2 brawn, though. Anyway, that's a more interesting build, a more fun build, that is exactly what the heavy should be, though. The 4-4 agility and brawn. Or 5 agility and then whatever. I really want to play a 5 something someday. Someday. Alright, bye.